Отак от буває, коли приходиш на українську землю. Отак от буває.
Двинулась колона в сторону Києва. Колона була велика, була організована засідка, була розбита голова колони. По попереднім даним, в голові колони був командир 6-го танкового полка, який був знищений. Хлопці відпрацювали засаду дуже професійно. І чоловік приїхав 15.02 в Москву. Результати засідки – це мінус 2 танка, мінус БТР і мінус особового складу приблизно 30 чоловік, в тому числі і командир полка.
У мене вилетіло всі 3 РПГ, ну, правда, чесно признаюсь, 1 РПГ пролетів мимо, не попав. 2 РПГ точно в ціль. Потім вони почали відступати нижньою дорогою, так називаємо.
Lost its innocence. Russia's symbol of war, now a symbol of terror. This is Mariupol, and call this vandalism by heavy armor. What did this block of flats ever do to get shelled? Or this tire repair shop? Mariupol is guilty of not falling to the Russians. But it's easier to destroy buildings than to destroy the spirit of people fighting for their home. These Ukrainian troops are refusing to give up. And the government acknowledged today that they'd lost 1,300 soldiers so far. But the heaviest price, as ever, is paid by those who cannot fight back. And who cannot find refuge in a war in which hospitals are targets. Civilians streamed into a war today that is familiar to anyone who paid attention during the Syrian war. Anastasia is inconsolable. She lost one of her children in the shelling.
Пришли к брату, все вместе, что мне так страшно было. Спустились в подвал с детьми, женщины с детьми спустились в подвал. И прилетел снаряд во двор. Нас засыпало в погребе. Двоих детей они спасли.
What words can do this justice? On the road to Mariupol is Volnovakha, a glimpse of the hell to come. The drone footage is silent, which is just as well, because this is now a dead landscape, rendered lifeless by Russian armor. Tanks parked where there should be cars. Church without spire. Bathtub as a fire pit. To the victors, the spoils. The longer it takes Russia to occupy parts of Ukraine, the more it turns all this uninhabitable. An act of vengeance for a war not going to plan, but by no means lost. This was Russian government footage of troops near Kyiv. One wonders what they've been told with their orders. Is it to wrong the rights of a Russia more sinned against than sinning? Do they really feel like victims of Western aggression? What do they truly think they're fighting for in the unwelcoming fields of Ukraine? Or, for that matter, dying for? We don't know where or how Senior Lieutenant Denis Sokolov died during the war that Russia still calls a special military operation. But in the city of Perm, his home, he leaves behind a wife and 2 children, one of them just a few months old. A family who at this moment will probably feel the same pain as their Ukrainian counterparts. But they do know what they're fighting for. The Ukrainian citizens have occupied Mariupol, converging on the town hall, shouting, "Bring back our mayor." Here kidnapped by Russian officers who put a bag over his head. Mayor Ivan Fedorov had refused to follow Russian orders and is now missing. It's the kind of rough justice that Ukrainians don't want to live under. Vladimir Putin may question the right of this nation to exist, but with every shell he's making the case for them. Their identity is being forged on the anvil of war. And sung by the opera company of Odessa, a city preparing for a siege. A national anthem once unknown outside Ukraine is now ringing in the world's ears.
To lead. We drive north past apartment blocks. If the Russians come down this road, maybe snipers will take aim from the windows. We're following the car of a member of the Ukrainian parliament, heading towards a pall of smoke, site of a Russian attack in the early hours of this morning. The strike hit a warehouse complex just outside the dormitory town of Brovary. Electronics in one part, foodstuffs in the other.
From here, food is taken to Brovary and to Kyiv. So they try to cut off the supply of food to city.
So you don't think this was a stray missile?
No, because it was like, it was also grads, also missiles, so it was like several types of...
So it was targeted?
Yeah, it was targeted on this, definitely.
We saw a similar food warehouse hit in the Black Sea port of Mykolaiv, adding to the suspicion that destroying food is a tactic. A former deputy prosecutor is here to investigate if there's evidence of a war crime.
The numbers bear out the conclusion that civilians are paying the highest price for the conflict.
This open letter, you have to specify to Russian officials they do not seek direct confrontation, but make it clear they will not countenance Russian attacks on civil areas. So limited no-fly zone in that context. Is there value in that?
Well, let me just expand it a little bit, William. I've been calling for a no-fly zone now since actually prior to the crisis itself and the invasion of Ukraine by the Russians. I'm a believer in the sanctions and all the economic measures and diplomatic measures that we've taken across the world to really constrain the Russians, and that's really awesome, but it will have an impact weeks, months, or years down the road. And what it is not going to do is